Hello guys, the next section that we are going to cover is HTML forms. HTML forms are one of the most important concepts in HTML. Forms are the way by which your users will interact with your website. They provide inputs through their HTML forms. So let's see how to create HTML forms using HTML. Let's go back to Sublime Text, to our project 1, and let's right click and create a new file. Go to file and save it as form_demo.html. So in this particular video we are going to create a registration form which will contain the following fields. The first one would be name, the second one would be email, the third one would be password, the fourth one would be age, the fifth one would be birth date, the sixth one would be gender, hobby, city, about, and finally you have to also upload a profile pic of yours. So these are the 10 fields that we are going to create in our HTML registration form. So let's start. I'm not deleting because it will be used as a reference. So beneath this point, let's start the HTML code. In fact, what we can do is we can put them into HTML comment like this. Great. Now let's start with the head tag and the body tag. Inside head, add a title and name it as HTML form demo, and inside body let's add one h1 which will say user registration form. Great. Now we are good to create our HTML form. So to create a HTML form in HTML, you have to use the tag called form tag. This is how it looks. Press enter and this is your HTML tag. Now let's add our first field, that is the name field. So the name field would be added like this. There is a tag in HTML which is called input, which is used to create form fields. So input has to be provided with certain attributes. One of the most important attributes is type. So this name field is going to be a text. The user will insert a string. So whenever you find that someone is going to insert a string, in that case you have to provide the attribute type to be text like this. Hit save and let's go to our project folder and let's see how our page looks. See, this is the first form, right? But we are not getting an idea of what this particular form is asking for. So what we will do is we will use the label tag to tell the user that he or she has to enter his name like this. File, save, reload. And now you are getting this information that in this particular form field you have to enter your name. What you can do is you can also change the line using BR so that it looks better. See, it looks better. Now let's quickly add the other form fields. We will add one more BR to change the line, and over here we'll add the second label, enter your email. BR for line change. Again we are going to use input, but this particular time the type will be email. BR, file, save. See, again you will be able to see a similar kind of form field, but this particular form field will accept only email addresses and not normal text. You will be able to see this once you will be submitting the form. Next is password. Let's add a label, enter the password. Input. You must have seen in web development, or rather using websites, that whenever you type in the password they are kind of formatted into asterisks, so you don't see the exact password that you are typing. You can do that too by using the type password. Save, reload. The alignment is bad because we haven't added the BR tag. Let's add the BR tag. Save, reload. And now once you write anything, you'll see that formatted into these characters, similar to what you see on other websites. Great, right? Let's move on to the next input field, that is age. Age, nothing different, only the type will change to a number. We are adding BR tags. Go to Google Chrome, reload. And now over here I'm trying to type some characters, but I'm not able to because the number tag, the number attribute has been set. Instead, when I'll type number, I'll be able to write that. You can also increase or decrease using these arrow buttons. Great, right? So now the next one is birth date. Birth date, and this will be done by setting the type attribute to date. Adding BR tags. Like this. Save, reload. Now you can see a different kind of input type field has appeared. In this particular field you can click on the drop down and you can easily navigate to the birth date. You can also go to this point And if you want to go to an older date, you can browse to it like this. Suppose 1991 October 24. This is how you will set the dates. There is one more attribute type, that is time, which is quite similar. You can set a time like this. So these are some great features that you get along with the input tag. Let's keep it back to date. The next one is gender. So the gender would be either male or female or others. So in this case we are going to use a radio button. You must have seen a radio button where you get a dot, a circular dot. You can check one of those. The examples are when you give an online test where there are multiple type questions and you have to select one option out of 4. They are a implementation of radio buttons. So let's create a radio button. The label will say gender, and this is how you create a radio button. You put the type to be equal to radio, and you give a value to be male or female like this. Type is equal to radio, and this time the value would be equal to female. Let's quickly add the BR tags. Let's save it and let's see how it looks. Yeah, you got 2 radio buttons, but there is a slight problem, and that is just along with your radio button you also have to type what exactly will you see along with the radio button. Save it and reload, and this is what you see. But if you can see, there is a slight problem that you are able to check both the radio buttons at a time. This is wrong, right? The point of radio button is that you have to select only one of the given options. So this particular mistake is rectified using the name attribute. So let me quickly rectify this and then I'll explain how this name attribute works. Let's save it and reload. Nothing changes, but now you can select only one of the given options. Let's see what name attribute is. So this name attribute, if you can see, for both the input radio fields we have provided a common name, that is gender. So in a way we are telling our browser that these two input fields are binded together, so the browser can let the user select only one of them. So if you don't use the name attribute, the user will be able to use or check both the radio buttons simultaneously. So whenever you are creating a radio button, just make sure that along with the value field you have to also use the name attribute. Great. Now let's move on to the next input field, that is hobby. To add a hobby, this particular type of input can have multiple inputs because a user can have multiple hobbies. So this kind of situation in HTML is tackled with checkboxes, where a user can check multiple boxes. So let's add checkboxes to our form. Checkboxes are added using the input with the type attribute of checkbox, and you will put a value to be equal to, say the first one is dancing. Similarly, the next one is singing, and similarly you can create multiple hobbies. One more thing, you have to write the name of the hobby over here also, otherwise it won't be getting displayed on the browser. So let's create two more hobbies by copying these two and pasting again. Let's create the third one to be sports and the fourth one to be movies, and let's change the value attribute accordingly, like this. Save. Now let's go back and reload Google Chrome. The alignment is not correct because we haven't used the BR tag over here. Save, reload. See, and now you can select all of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, 1 of them, or none of them. Right. This is how you add checkboxes. The next input is city. Let's add the label. Now this could be done using radio buttons, but instead I'm showing you another way of doing it, that is a drop down menu, where the user will get a drop down menu of a list of all the cities from where he will select his native city. So to create a drop down list in HTML, you use the select tag. The select tag looks like this, and inside the select tag you add every list item in option tag, like this. I'm sorry for Mumbai, it should be Mumbai. The next is Kolkata. The last one, let's take it to be Chennai. So this is how you create a drop down menu. Let's save and reload. Again the alignment is not correct, maybe because we haven't used the BR tag, but this is how a drop down menu will look. Okay, so let's quickly go back and add a BR tag over here and one BR tag over here. Great. So now we are covered with up to city. Let's add the two more remaining fields that are about and profile pic upload. So for about, we are not going to use the input field. Instead, we are going to use something else. See, the about field, in the about field, the user will insert information about himself, and it may be a long paragraph. So for a long paragraph, it is not recommended that you use an input tag. There is a separate tag called text area, specially provided for receiving information from the user if the input string is quite large. So this is how you define a text area. File, save. Just add the br tags and save. Reload. Now here you have got the, and you can type as much as you want and it will let you type like this. I'm pressing enter continuously and you have inserted that much information. You can also increase the size like this, and this is all the information that the user has typed. Let's move on to the final HTML input, that is file upload. Add profile pic. In HTML, if you want to insert or upload a file, the typical use cases are while onboarding on popular websites, you have to upload a profile picture, or on certain websites you have to upload documents, or on YouTube you have to upload videos. In those scenarios, you can use this particular HTML tag, which is again input but with a different type attribute, and the type attribute is file this time. So let's see what happens when we save and reload the document. Add profile picture. Can you see this time there is no insert field? Instead, it is replaced with a button. So when you click on this button, it already says choose file. So now let me go to the desktop, and suppose I want to upload this particular image file. So I'll click on this and I'll click on open, and as you can see, now the file is there to be uploaded. So this is how you implement file uploads in your HTML forms. So more or less our HTML form, the registration form, is ready. The only thing that is left is how to submit the form. So to submit the form, you have to use again the input tag, but you have to provide a type of submit. And once you do that and save, you will see a submit button has appeared. This button, on the click of this button, the form will be submitted to our servers. Now this submit text has been generated by default. Say if you want to change it to registration or register me, you can do that using the value attribute by writing register or login or whatever. Save, reload. So this is how a HTML form is created